Sir, step out of the vehicle. For what? What did I do? There's a report of a stolen car matching this description. This is my car. My kids are in the back seat. We'll verify that. Put your hands where I can see them. He had registration, insurance. His name on the plates. Didn't matter. They still drew guns. And his 7-year-old son started screaming. Don't shoot my daddy. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. Friday, for 36 p.m. Reggie Lewis was driving home from soccer practice with his 2 kids in the back, Miles, 7, and Layla, 5. Juice boxes in the cup holders. Backpacks on the floor. Sunlight cutting across the windshield. The light turned green. He eased forward. Then the siren hit. One cruiser. Then a second. He pulled over immediately, heart already racing. A white officer approached, hand on holster. Step out of the vehicle, sir. Reggie blinked. Can I ask what's going on? Vehicle match. Stolen property reported in this area. Step out now. This is my car. My kids are in the back. We'll confirm that. Hands where I can see them. Reggie obeyed slowly, deliberately. He's on the dash. Registration in the glove box. The second officer opened the rear door. Sir, are these your children? Yes. Miles clutched his sister's arm. Don't shoot my daddy. The officer looked back. We'll sort this out. Sit tight, kids. 10 minutes passed. Reggie stood handcuffed on the curb while the officers ran plates and ID. Name matched. Registration matched. Insurance matched. Still cuffed. A third car arrived. Supervisor. He asked one question. Can he prove these kids are his? Reggie said. Call my wife. Check my phone. There's school drop-off. Medical records. Photos. Whatever you want. The supervisor turned to his team. Let's take them in. Let the station verify. I'm not resisting. You're doing this in front of my kids. Then comply. Miles cried the whole ride. Layla asked why they took Daddy if the car had his name. No one answered her. At the station, they separated him from the kids. Put them in a holding room with vending machines and cartoons on mute. Reggie sat in an interview chair. 2 detectives walked in. How'd you get the car, Mr. Lewis? He stared. I bought it. 3 years ago. You're holding my children without cause. A woman called. Said a car like this was stolen near the park. Your plates are 1 digit off. So that's enough to take my family? The detective didn't flinch. You're not under arrest. Then why am I in cuffs? No answer. Just paperwork. Just assumption. Just skin. Because in their system, he didn't own the car. He just fit the story. Reggie sat handcuffed in the interrogation room. The clock on the wall ticked louder than the detectives' voices. One of them, a short, shaved head, no name tag, leaned forward. We ran your license. You're clean. So let's just clarify a few things. Like what? Why you were driving a vehicle reported stolen. It wasn't stolen. You already confirmed the VIN, the registration, and my ID. The report was vague. Wrong plate digit. Clothes make and model. We had to be cautious. Reggie scoffed. You don't cuff cautious. Meanwhile, in a side room, Miles sat stiff on a metal bench. Layla curled next to him. A female officer offered them crackers. They didn't touch them. You kids okay? Miles didn't answer. Layla whispered. When's Daddy coming back? Back in the interrogation room, Reggie said. Look, I left work early. Picked them up from practice. We stopped for juice boxes. That's it. The detective took notes like it was a confession. Where do you work? I'm a software engineer. Network systems. Ask my boss. Any record of prior altercations with police? No. Ever been accused of theft? Never. Then why so defensive? Reggie blinked. You mean other than being pulled at gunpoint in front of my kids for driving my own car? The detective sat back. Nobody's accusing you, Mr. Lewis. This is just protocol. Protocol for what? For confirming the report. What report? From who? They didn't answer. 30 more minutes passed. Then a new face entered. Someone older, blazer, clipboard, civilian clothing. Mr. Lewis, I'm Monica Tay. Internal coordination. I've been reviewing your file. We're working to get this sorted. Then uncuff me. She hesitated. You're not under arrest. But I'm in restraints. My children are being detained like witnesses. That's not sorting. Monica nodded. There's just procedure we need to. No. There's fear. Not yours, mine. And theirs. She looked down. Your daughter asked if we were bad people. Reggie didn't move. Then quietly she said, we're going to run everything again. Full verification. DMV, ownership, Cross-check the report. Reggie exhaled. Do I get to call my wife now? 3 hours after being pulled over. They let him dial home. Outside, his wife Simone had already called 6 precincts for times each. She'd called friends, posted in parent groups, even tried 911. All they said was, if there's an incident, you'll be contacted. Now she was speeding toward the station. Heart pounding. Hands shaking. Her babies were inside. And her husband was still wearing handcuffs. Because none of them said he's guilty. But none of them said he's free either. And when you fit the story, freedom comes last. Simone burst through the doors of the station just past 8 p.m. She was breathless, red-eyed, holding her hospital badge in one hand and Reggie's insurance documents in the other. I'm here for Reggie Lewis. And our children. Where are they? The desk sergeant barely glanced up. Name? Simone Lewis. Wife. Mother. Human being. Now bring me to my family. The officer picked up a phone. In a side room, Reggie finally sat uncuffed. His wrists bore red lines. No apology. He looked up when Simone entered. She ran straight to him. They said nothing, she whispered. For hours. I know. Across the hall, 2 CPS workers stood over Miles and Layla. Do you feel safe at home? Miles blinked. My dad makes pancakes on Saturdays. That's not what I asked. Simone stormed into the hallway when she saw them. What is this? The older CPS agent stepped forward. We're conducting a wellness check. Standard when children witness a detainment involving a guardian. A detainment based on a false match. You already cleared it. The woman didn't flinch. We still have to file an exposure report. Meaning what? That your children were present during a high-stress law enforcement event. Caused by you. It becomes part of their record. Temporarily. Simone's voice broke. You're creating trauma and then documenting it like it's ours. Reggie stepped into the hallway. He saw the agent slide a paper into a folder labeled Lewis, Reggie/CPS review, open. He froze. That's a record? It's just procedure. It's a scar. They were finally allowed to leave by 9:22 p.m. No charges. No apology. Just a warning to stay available in case of follow-up. Reggie drove home in silence. Simone sat in the back with the kids. Layla asked, Are we in trouble? Simone held her tighter. No, baby. But she couldn't say it with confidence. Because now they were in the system. Not for what they did, but for how they looked. At home, Reggie stared at his laptop. Googled how to clear a CPS exposure file. How long do police reports stay in juvenile record? False detainment, legal options. Every link led to a different kind of wall. Later that night, Simone whispered, What if they show up again? Reggie didn't answer. Because once you've been filed, you don't know who's reading, or when they'll knock. He didn't lose his job, didn't go to jail. But what he lost didn't have a name. Just wait. And it would sit there. Every time a cruiser pulled up behind him. Monday, 8:14 a.m. Reggie swiped his badge at the corporate office entrance. It beeped once. Then again. No green light. The guard raised an eyebrow. Might be a system hiccup. Reggie forced a smile. Yeah, probably that. Upstairs, in a meeting room, his manager avoided eye contact. Heard you had a situation over the weekend? Reggie sat straight. A mistaken stop. Cleared. No charges. Of course. But the HR team just needs to log a disclosure form. You know how compliance works. Reggie clenched his jaw. I didn't do anything. I know. It's just protocol. That afternoon, Simone stood outside Miles's school during pickup. 2 moms she used to chat with saw her coming and shifted positions. Turned their backs. Later that week, an invitation to a neighborhood parents group meeting went missing. One of the coordinators sent a vague text. Hey, just keeping things simple while everything settles. Hope you understand. Simone read it twice, then deleted it. Friday, Reggie got pulled aside by the HR director. We reviewed your personnel file. All good. No concern. Then why the meeting? It's just, with everything going on, transparency matters. Reggie leaned forward. Transparency for what? A matching digit on a license plate? Silence. At home, the mail came. A thin white envelope addressed to parents/guardians of Miles Lewis. Inside. Notice of wellness review follow-up. We will be conducting a scheduled visit to verify child safety. Simone read it out loud. Then folded it. Then cried. Miles overheard. He asked, Did I do something wrong? Reggie crouched down. No. You were just there. Saturday, they attended Layla's ballet class. At the end, other parents took group photos. They weren't asked to join. Simone held her phone up anyway, took a picture of just Layla, smiling, still dancing. That night, Reggie looked at his calendar. 3 check-ins now scheduled. HR meeting, CPS home visit, student services follow-up call. He shook his head. I didn't break anything. Simone whispered. You were seen. Because innocence isn't enough. When the accusation leaves ink, and once you're written anew, even in pencil, they never really erase you. Tuesday, 3:37 p.m. Simone sat on hold with Child Protective Services. Again, the line crackled. A voice came through. CPS intake. How can I help? I need copies of every document filed under the Lewis family review. That requires a formal request. I filed it last week. I was told it was ready. Name? Simone Lewis. Click. Hold music. Then, we can send a digital copy. Email? Simone gave it. 10 minutes later, her inbox pinged. PDF. Titled, Lewis_exposure file_full.pdf. She opened it. Read everything. Most of it was as expected. Report date. Officer ID numbers. Event description. Witness names. But on page 5, she saw it. Line 17. Detainment conducted prior to verification of registration and identity. She blinked. Read it again. Not after. Not based on suspicion. Prior. She printed the page. Highlighted the line. Filed it into a folder labeled Leverage. That night, she showed Reggie. They're admitting they cuffed you before running your info. He read it twice. That's not a policy mistake. That's false detainment. Simone nodded. Documented. Signed. Timestamped. Wednesday morning, Reggie drafted a letter. No anger. No threat. Just facts. 2. CPS Regional Supervisor. Internal Affairs, Jacksonville PD. County Legal Review Office. Subject, request for formal investigation based on documented protocol breach. He attached the PDF. Hours later, an automated reply came through. We have received your request. You will be contacted by an appointed case analyst. Meanwhile, at CPS headquarters, someone scanned the report again. Realized the mistake. The line. The paper trail. It wasn't supposed to be in the final version. But it was. And now, it was evidence. That same day, Reggie's HR director called him in. But this time, it was different. Just wanted to let you know, we're closing out the disclosure review. Nothing more needed. Reggie narrowed his eyes. Why now? The man shrugged. Your documentation cleared a lot up. So someone had forwarded the letter. Someone inside. Simone picked up the kids that afternoon. One mom smiled again. Said hi. No one apologized. But something had shifted. Because now Reggie wasn't just a name on a report. He was a man holding one. And they couldn't pretend they'd followed the rules anymore. Thursday, 10:02 a.m. An email circulated through CPS Region 3. Subject. Protocol Review. Early Restraint Procedures in Civilian Stops. Attached. One redacted PDF. File name. Lewis Incident Review. Docs. Only 5 lines were visible, but one stuck out. Unjustified detainment initiated prior to standard verification. No one said it, but every supervisor who read it thought the same thing. This one got through. At the Jacksonville precinct, an internal memo followed. All personnel advised to document pre-verification interactions with precision. Failure to do so may result in liability. Reggie's name wasn't on it, but his mistreatment was the reason it existed. He didn't know the memo had gone out. He was too busy reading a formal letter from the CPS regional director. As a result of documentation provided, your case has been closed and the exposure report sealed. Not deleted, not erased, but sealed. Meaning, they won't use it, but they won't forget it either. Simone read the line 5 times. It's not the same as cleared. Reggie nodded. No, but it means if they ever open it again, it'll cost them. At work, Reggie received a calendar invite. Not from HR. From the Diversity and Inclusion Office. Subject, Narratives of Policy Overreach, Listening Session. He declined. He didn't want to be their example. Just their reminder. Saturday morning, Simone opened the mailbox. A letter from an advocacy group. We were made aware of your case through internal channels. If you wish, we can assist in filing for formal expungement of all associated reports. She showed Reggie. He folded it. added it to the binder. They weren't chasing headlines, just control. Back at Southridge Elementary, Miles's teacher pulled Simone aside at pickup. I just want you to know. Miles is doing well. Really well. You've raised a strong kid. Simone looked her in the eye. We didn't raise him to be strong for this. The teacher didn't respond, because no one knew how to say. We watched it happen, and said nothing. That night, Reggie sat on the porch. No music. No phone. Just air. He wasn't waiting for justice anymore. He was waiting for them, to feel the silence they created. And maybe next time, when someone fit a story, just because of the color of his hands on a steering wheel. Someone might remember his name was Lewis, and pause, just long enough, to do it right. Monday, 7:58 a.m. An internal CPS bulletin quietly updated the terminology in future reports. Exposure file would now be renamed Child Proximity Notification. It sounded softer, less dangerous. It also meant Reggie's original file was now grandfathered under a system they were pretending never existed. Simone received an automated email. The Lewis family file has been archived per Policy Update 4.3. No explanation. No note. Just a line that meant, we changed the label, not the truth. At Reggie's office, someone from legal sent him a PDF. FYI, your protocol email was cited in a recent staff training slide. You're not named, but it's you. Slide title. When we react before we confirm. He didn't know whether to be angry or satisfied. So he did nothing. Filed it away. Just like they did. Later that week, at Layla's dance class, another parent approached Simone. I just want to say, I was wrong. I judged without knowing. Simone looked at her. And now? The woman nodded awkwardly. Now I know better. Simone didn't smile. She just said, good. Because they always know better. After they stay quiet. That weekend, Reggie received a call. Unknown number. He picked up. Mr. Lewis, this is Staff Sergeant Fields, Internal Review Division. I'd like to speak off record about the incident last month. Reggie paused. Off record doesn't protect me. I understand. But I think you should see what's happening internally. They met in a coffee shop. The sergeant didn't wear a uniform. He brought no files. Just words. There's been quiet movement. Certain officers removed from mobile patrol. Others under observation. But they won't announce it. Too messy. So it dies in silence? No. It lives in documentation. You made that happen. Reggie didn't feel proud. He felt exhausted. But he nodded. Then I'll keep documenting. Because every time they updated a protocol, every time they reworded a form, every time they deleted a line of old language, they were confirming that he was right. And no matter how quiet the change, it meant this. Next time they reach for handcuffs, they'll have to think twice. Because one man kept the receipt. Wednesday, 11:06 a.m. A new training module went live on the Jacksonville PD intranet. Module title: Initial Contact and Identity Confirmation, Minimizing Civil Liability. Section 2.1 featured a fictional case study, but every officer knew the story. Man, 2 kids. License plate, close match. One line in bold. Verification must precede restraint unless clear and present threat is established. No author credit. No citations. But in the comments, someone wrote, this is the Lewis fix. At Southridge Elementary, a quiet update to teacher protocol was circulated. In incidents involving law enforcement contact, all staff communications with students or families must remain neutral until documentation is reviewed. Translation. Don't assume next time. Reggie wasn't informed. He didn't need to be. Simone saw the change in posture, the subtle shift in tone during pickup, the way school emails now said, we're here to support your family. But she hadn't forgotten the way they looked away when her children were taken. That night, Reggie received another email, this time from a small community org. Your case has been added to our database of civilian police interaction reforms. With your permission, we'd like to include your story anonymously as part of our legislative briefings. He didn't reply right away. He stared at the screen, then typed, yes, but only if you include the part where they never said sorry. At work, someone passed him in the hallway. Not a friend, just a face. The man said, hey, that policy change? It mattered. Reggie nodded once. He wasn't looking for thanks. He was watching how they moved now. Friday, Simone opened the local paper. Buried in the public notices, Notice of Procedural Update, Duval County Child Services. It listed 20 new protocol numbers. Among them, CPS 12.4.1a, Non-Emergent Contact with Minors, Limitation Post-Clearance. She clipped it, filed it. Binder labeled, Policy Fallout, Q3. They weren't erasing what happened. They were rewriting what came next. And her family, written in ink, would now appear between every line. Because they never meant a change. But they had no choice. And even if they called it progress. She called it self-defense. Monday, 8:03 a.m. A regional training for new CPS officers began in Duval County. The lead instructor opened with a case. Let's start with a procedural failure that rewrote our own handbook. No names. No photos. Just a slide marked Case L22. But in the back row, a trainee whispered. That's the Lewis guy, right? The instructor didn't confirm. Didn't need to. Everyone nodded. Later that day, a supervisor paused during a home visit briefing. Double-check verification timelines. We don't want another Lewis incident. It wasn't criticism. It was precaution. At Southridge, Miles came home with a hand-drawn picture from art class. It showed a house, 2 kids, and a tall man holding their hands. Reggie smiled. That me? Miles nodded. I told them you're the reason our school changed the rules. Reggie froze, then laughed. That's probably the first time someone said that and didn't mean trouble. Across town, Simone ran into an old coworker. They hugged. I read about your case. Quietly. We all did. We never told the story. You didn't have to. Because in city offices, they weren't talking about the pain anymore. They were talking about what to do next time. And every next time started with, well, during the Lewis case. At work, Reggie opened his inbox. Another request. This one from a private law firm training department. We're updating internal policy. May we consult your file language for risk modeling? He didn't even hesitate. Use what you want. Just don't delete the part where they were wrong. Because now, being Lewis had a meaning. Not in the news, but in memos, in staff rooms, in whispered meetings. It meant stop, verify, confirm, or risk the same fire. That night, Layla asked, Daddy, are you famous? Reggie smiled. Not famous, just remembered. And in the system that once erased people like him, he had become something they couldn't erase. A point of failure that forced them to write a better page. Not out of guilt, but out of self-preservation. And that, somehow, felt more permanent than apology. 2 months later, no cameras, no reporters, no stories on the evening news. Just a home that no longer received wellness checks. Just children who slept through the night. Just a man who drove to work. Without watching every rearview mirror twice. Reggie sat at the DMV, renewing his license. The clerk scanned his info, paused, and looked up. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Lewis. She didn't explain, but he knew why she hesitated. There was a note on his file once. There isn't any more. Simone updated the binders one last time. 5 volumes. Each with labeled tabs, scanned reports, dates, emails, quotes. She didn't lock them away. She shelved them. In reach. In case. At school, Miles brought home a certificate. Model citizen, resilient learner. He handed it to Reggie. That mean I did good? Reggie smiled. That means you kept going. At the next school board meeting, Simone sat in the back. She didn't speak. Didn't raise her hand. But when they introduced new protocols, she nodded. She'd seen the drafts before. Some of the language was hers. No credit. No mention. But she didn't need it. She'd written her name in a different way. Through caution. One rainy evening, Reggie drove through the same intersection where it all began. Same street. Same left turn. Same weather. But this time, no sirens. Because somewhere in their system, someone had written, verify before detain, Lewis protocol. And even if they never say it out loud, they remembered. Layla asked him at bedtime, do people still think you did something bad? He tucked her in. Some might. Is that okay? He thought about it, then answered, it's not about what they think. It's about what they can't do anymore. Because what he protected that day wasn't his name. It was his place in the world. Uninterrupted. Unbent. Still his. And now the system moved differently. Just to make sure it didn't meet another man like him. Without proof. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.